Hello and welcome to today's LOL Esports Roundup, where we will cover a tad bit of news from the LOL Esports 4 major regions in the last 24 hours, recap the 5 series that took place today in the LPL LCK, preview tomorrow's LPL LCK series. News, EDG. EDG Uzi is a thing. He has officially joined EDG. Today the Snake played, which we'll get into eventually. Uzi will take over. I read on Twitter that he may have referenced the series against IG that's supposed to take place on Wednesday as his return to League of Legends. Uzi obviously is considered by many to be the best ADC of all time. At worst, he is in the conversation for the best of all time. Like, literally, there is no, I don't think there's any rational person that has Uzi out of that conversation. Obviously, with BLG, last year, 9 games in his return after a couple years away due to health issues. He did okay. Some people think he left a little bit to be desired. I thought he was fine. I thought Doggo probably was getting kind of screwed a bit by the whole situation too, but nevertheless, Uzi had a 4.5 KDA, 10 CS per minute, 73.6 KP, 637 damage per minute, 450 gold per minute, so roughly 30% of the team's damage, almost 26% of the gold, 4 champions, 9 games. That is Uzi though. Through and through. He is like, so in my opinion, he is the hardest carry ever for sure. Even without, you take into account what an ADC can do completely when you say who's the best ADC of all time, but specifically Uzi, I think, is the strongest carry player ever. His gold share has always been super high. His CS has always been super high. RNG in years past really tried to ensure that he was in a good place to carry their team, and we saw that time and time again. Now he is returning to action. Sorry, somebody, of course, is mowing the lawn next door. Recap for today. I went 5-0 again. So the last 3 days, I am, I believe, 14-1. Now 30-11. Just really cruising. If you want my predictions, they are in members only tier. RNG, OMG. I thought OMG, I had them winning 2-1. Now both teams are 2-2. OMG 10th in the power rankings. Abel 11-7-11, 30% of damage. Shanju is my MVP, 8-16, 8-6-16. LP 10-10-21, 32% of damage in the loss. I thought Breathe got the better of Shanji in game 1. I thought Breathe was actually cracked on the Gragas. Super impactful. Wei throughout the series for RNG looked honestly to be the best player, most consistent player in all 3 games. Even in the 2 losses for RNG, I thought Wei was the only one doing anything for the team. And looking really good, to be quite honest. On very different champions. He played Poppy, Kha'Zix, and I think Wukong. But as far as OMG is concerned, Shanji in Game 3 on the Rumble got them ahead. Got Ali in a hole, Breathe in a hole, sorry, and never looked back. And I felt like that was integral to their success in winning Game 3. Cream had some moments. He solo killed Tangwan at one point, maybe even twice in this series. But Game 3, I thought his LeBlanc was good, but not as good as Shanji's Rumble. Cream did play Kiana in Game 2. Aki on Wukong did a lot of work in Game 3. In team fights especially. I think he had a triple kill at one point. Now, Abel with 11 kills in 3 games is pretty low. I thought that in terms of bot lane, the bot lane was a bit of a wash. I didn't feel like one side got the better of the other all that much. As OMG sneaked by due to the fact that Shanji was just better than Breathe. Because, to be honest, Wei was better than Aki. Cream was better than Tangwan, but that's not saying much, and it wasn't as big of a gap as it should have been compared to Shanji against Breathe, 2 solid top laners. So, OMG win. This is good. They need to win winnable series like this. And, Wei is in a bit of ELO hell right now. After that, we had Team World Elite and IG. Team We would win 2-0. They're 3-0 on the season, 18th in the power rankings. IG followed to 1-3. Hope went 15-5-17, 37% of damage. His Jinx was cracked in this one. Iwandi 1-3-30, so the bot lane 16-8-47. We highlighted that Diffie yesterday in the preview, and it held true in this series. On 9-6-7, 32% of damage in the loss for IG. So IG's bot lane were able to respond. A lot of this revolving around team fights. Laning wise was meh, but in terms of team fights, like Hope's Jinx came through and dominated. And honestly, that was the story of this series, because I felt like IG had some good moments. They were able to actually get into a really winnable position one of the games and through. Because I mean, the young team making mistakes, really. They had YSKM back in the lineup. He was on carries and top lane, could not take advantage of Cube. You would like that to be the case. Hang and Tianjin, a bit of a wash. Tianjin on Kindred looked good in the early to mid game, but then through. And then on the Rengar, really wasn't as impactful as you would have liked his pocket pick to be. And Hang did his job. And really, in the end, that's all that matters. By comparison, mid lane Shanks was really good in game 2. His Jace, I think he played Jace. His KDA was outstanding, but in the end, I was like, Hope is the guy I'm giving this to, because honestly, in his Jinx is what brought them back from the brink. So, yeah, team we win 2-0. Just out team fought IG essentially. Third series, EDG, JDG. EDG 11th in the power rankings, fall to 1-3, losing 2-0 to JDG, who are now 4-1 and second. Knight was my MVP. His Ahri was super good in game 1. Ruler 7-1, 22, 29% of damage. Kanavi 10-2, 19 in the jungle. Fofo 5-6-2, 32% of damage for EDG. I thought the Snake held his own in laning, actually getting ahead of the JDG bot lane alongside Mako, which I think is actually like really a nice thing to see out of the kid who really hasn't had an opportunity at this level before. He had his work cut out for him. You're against the only other player you'd probably consider in that greatest of all-time ADC category with Ruler there, and well, joining Uzi. So the Snake had his work cut out for him. I thought in laning he did fine. Team fights got picked off a lot, and maybe that's just a matter of him not playing with EDG much. I mean, their main roster, because he's on the LDL team, barely playing this past year. I think he only had 9 total games between 2 different, tournaments. I think one was just regular season, and then maybe a replacements season as well. So, coming in cold, I thought he did fine. I thought he and Mako did okay. I think it's becoming clearer that by EDG signing Leave, I mean Uzi, that Leave is probably they've probably decided that Leave is responsible for the things that are being rumored. At least that's an assumption. I'm sure Uzi doesn't come by cheap when you have to sign him. And it's kind of interesting that EDG were able to find that money, given that they couldn't find money to keep Scout, and had to sign Fofo. But as far as this series is concerned, talking about JDG, they smoked them. Knight was just very, very good on the Ahri. Like I said, Kanavi getting around the rift, making things happen ahead of JJ. And, I mean, in the end, it really wasn't able to be matched. JJ wasn't matching, and you're going to lose if you don't, match. 369 and Ale. 369 got the better of Ale. I mean, JDG they won 3-0 last time. EDG were worse off this time than they were last time. So 2-0 makes a lot of sense. LCK, Sandbox, Nongshim. Sandbox win 2-0. Now both teams are 1-1. Liv, Sandbox are 16th in the power rankings as Nongshim. I didn't mention Nongshim in that bit, so that's why it's all jumbled up. Nongshim 1-1. Teddy 15-0-12, 36% of damage, was my MVP. Cal 0-0-27. So the bot lane went 15-0-39. Din Din in the loss 0-5-3, 29% of damage. Game 1 on the Poppy, he dealt a shit ton of damage. I was shocked by the amount of damage, to be honest, seeing it. I was like, wow. itemization, things like that, obviously playing a role. I was shocked. I mean, it was a real surprise. Um, and I mean, into Berdahl, you'd like him to do a little bit more because both of those players are pretty unproven. Berdahl obviously has played more games, but in my opinion, hasn't shown an ability to be much better than Dindon. Dindon actually looked really good in spring at times. Um, Jungle, Sylvie was able to really impose his will onto Willer, pun intended at times, but could not come away with the win because Quad, despite solo killing Closer at one point, really didn't do enough work. You'd like the fact that he's on his pocket pick Cassiopeia to deal more damage than he did and affect the game more than he did. But what are you going to do when your bot lane's inting its face off because Teddy and Cal are running the show? Teddy's hitting rockets from across the rift on the Jinx, like multiple times. It was just very one-sided. I mean, we're looking for little bits and pieces to cite for Nongshim because honestly, like game 1 was an absolute blowout. Game 2 wasn't much better for Nongshim. KDF and Bro. KDF 19th in the power rankings, go to 2-0. Bro 0-2 as the Freaks win 2-0. Doodoo 3-0-11, 32% of damage in top lane was MVP. Bulldog 6-1-10. Morgan 2-5-3, 32%. So top lane imposing their will on this series, dealing a ton of damage. Slow. No surprise because it's Bro. I say this every time. But when I saw the highlight videos for these this morning and see that the one series, both 2-0s, one series had 5 minutes longer, I was like, oh yeah, this is a Bro situation here. Just really not doing. They're too passive. They're too passive. The bot lane, bit of a wash. Bulldog really gapped Karis in CS. Jason to Annie, I'm sure that is one-sided, but the gap was very large, and I felt like it was the majority of the gold lead that was built up in an otherwise very slow game. Like, it's one of these things, I keep saying it. Bro play passively until they lose. They hope the other team makes a mistake. KDF are very good for a team that you wouldn't expect to be as good as they are, which is a weird thing to say, but at the same time, really think about it. Like KDF, I feel like, and even I'll admit it, I'm not a big Doodoo, Young Jay, Taeyun, or June fan. I like Bulldog. I think he's very young and has potential to be great, really. But the other 4 players, you could bet on them making possible mistakes, but it seems time and time again they come through and show, hey, we are solid, we are consistent, we're not going to screw up. And that is something that continues to impress. And against Bro, they did their job. Doodoo affecting team fights, doing what he had to do. Young Jay affecting the Rift, and Umpty unable to keep up with them. So, I mean, it's a 2-0, pretty one-sided, not only in record, but in the gameplay. It was just like, hey, we have a 5K gold lead, or we have a 4K gold lead, and we haven't had to do anything. And I don't know. I can't say much more about Bro that's kind. Sneak peek for tomorrow. LPL, LNG, FPX. LNG third in the power rankings, 2-2. FPX 1-2. LNG coming off of a loss to Weibo. FPX coming off of a loss to Rare Atom. Last time they played, LNG would win 2-0 in spring. I do not know the rosters because of how early this video is being completed. So I'm not sure who's going to start where. So I'm only going to cite jungle mid. I'm pretty confident those might stay the same. If they don't, it is what it is. Tarzan Scout, 13-4-19, 985 DPM in the win. 39%. Hacker Care 5-13-13, 632, 37%. So the mid jungle duo about the same amount of impact in share, but that impact was felt differently as LNG had what? 350 more DPM. Rare Atom LGD afterwards. Rare Atom 1-2 coming off of that win against FPX. LGD 0-4 coming off of a loss to JDG. Definitely don't know Everybody that's playing in this series, last time they played, Rare Atom won 2-1. I'm going to assume Rare Atom sticks with their jungle mid duo coming off of a win. So Leon and Strive went 13, 14, 25, 866 DPM for 38% of the team's damage in that victory in spring. As far as LGD is concerned, I cannot guarantee that LPC will continue to play over Envy. So we're going to just stick with Meteor and Haichao, who do not have substitutes behind them. They did fine in the loss, 11, 10, 27, 725 DPM, 37%, like the same as the other series, pretty similar impact, DPM a bit different, but the KDA was better. So that kind of happens, though, because Meteor is more carry-oriented. Leon is as well, but Meteor seems to maybe be better at it, to be honest with you. You know, I won't lie, last split I was not a big fan of Meteor on LGD, but LGD have continued to look like a tire fire, and Meteor still finds a way to shine at times in that, implosion of a squad. So, I mean, maybe there's an angle there. Rare Atom are definitely not perfect. I hope Strive continues to develop, Assume continues to develop, and maybe things get better. Oh, and by the way, Zhaozhu revenge angle. He's against his team, former team. Weibo and Top Esports. Weibo 9th in the power rankings, 2-1, coming off of a win against LNG. Top Esports 7th in the power rankings, 3-1, coming off of a win against Thunder Talk. Last time they played in spring, Weibo would win 2-1. Obviously, Top Side of the Rift is different now that Top are playing Wayward instead of Qingtian. And then Weibo, I assume, may continue to play Weiwei over Karsa like they have the 3 previous series. So, we'll compare mid and bot. Zhaohu, Light, and Crisp in the win went 24, 16, 44, 1,259 DPM, which was 61%. Rookie Jackie Love Mark went 16, 14, 36, 1,092, and 62%. So similar impact. KDA is very different. Honestly, the DPM isn't all that different, which is good for Top Esports because those are the carries. And maybe Wayward being better than Qingtian can provide an opportunity for them to take advantage of the Shy tomorrow morning. Maybe the Shy Ints. Get your coins out if you are a gambler on that one. LCK, D plus DRX, D plus 8th in the power rankings, 1-0, coming off of a win against Sandbox. DRX 0-1, coming off of a loss to KDF. Nongshim. Was one of those two teams. Was either KDF or Nongshim. Regardless, they lost. Last time they played, D plus 1, 2-0 in spring. Rosters are not the same. DRX had a rookie mid and AD carry last series. Kiahu and Paddock are playing for DRX. So we will compare top and support because actually the last time these two teams played, Juhan played over Krakow. I don't know if he's going to play tomorrow or not. So Kana and Kellen in the win went 8,536, 1,064 DPM, 37%. I hesitated when I said 1,037 because we're going to see why it was 2-0. Rascal Barrel, 2, 15, and 12, 547 DPM. So, D plus had 500 more DPM. That's a ton, especially when you take into account the damage shares. 33% for DRX, 37% for D plus, so slightly more for D plus. 500 DPM more is a ton of damage. That's a big difference. So, extreme sides of the rift being D plus favored in that one. Excuse me. T1 Gen G, T1 first, 1-0. Gen G fifth, 1-0. T1 beat HLE, Gen G beat KT. Last time they played was at MSI. T1 would win 3-2. Guma, Pays is what I'm highlighting. Guma went 29, 7, 13, 30% of damage in the win. Pays 17, 9, 16, 31% of damage in the loss. Obviously, that is the match of the day. Nobody is going to think Weibo Top is a better matchup than T1 Gen G, unless they are, like, deluded. But both series will be interesting on paper. I do expect T1 Gen G to go to 3 games. I would feel pretty confident in that assessment. So that's it for the roundup. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord because Power Rankings will close tomorrow for the week after the games are done, after these games are done. Hall of Fame, 4th class, 60-player ballot closes today. So it drops to 15 starting tomorrow for the 4th class. That will end next week. So if you haven't voted, vote. Join the Discord for that. Do predictions if you want to. We track those. And yeah, so do all that if you would like. Become a YouTube member if you want my predictions, whether they become video or post form. You know, we tackle that as we go along. And yeah, so thank you for watching and I hope to see you again tomorrow.